There are about 30,000 top issues in Kansas because it's a mess. But the public education will be number one. The first thing we'll deal with when the legislature comes back into session. But overall, during the administration, what I want to do is ensure that we're fully funding our K-12, our career tech ed, and our higher education. But then I want to leave as my legacy expansion of early childhood education opportunities all across the state. So education is number one. Secondly, we have got to figure out a way to rebuild our infrastructure. Whether we're talking roads and bridges or we're talking broadband, we've been in an economic downturn for the past 6 years or so since the tax cuts went into effect. We need to turn that around. We can only do that by funding our schools and our infrastructure. And then also what I hope to accomplish in the first year I'm governor is Medicaid expansion. The legislature passed Medicaid expansion 2 years ago. Brown bag vetoed it. And then last year, leadership would not even let us discuss it because they didn't want us to vote. We would have passed it again, and Collier would have vetoed it, and that would not have been a good thing during an election year for him. So we just didn't even deal with it. But I'm absolutely confident that the legislature will bring that up. They'll pass it. I'll get it. I'll sign it, and we can move on. And then on top of that, after we expand Medicaid, the other thing I want to do is bring our Medicaid program, CanCare, out from underneath the for-profit umbrella that it exists in now, and bring it back under a non-profit, quasi-governmental, so that we can reap those rewards in Kansas and either be able to provide more services for people or give that money back to the taxpayers.
I want to do everything I can to support all the things that you just said. Healthcare is the number one issue that I hear about literally every time I go and meet with people. Multiple people bring up issues of healthcare to me, and Medicaid expansion is one of the things that I want to make sure that there's appropriate funding levels for that, and that it's incentivized so that I would love to see our state expand Medicaid. So there's a couple of things that I think a lot of people are thinking about, and my role as a representative is to take those concerns to DC and make sure that we're addressing them. So Medicaid expansion is one thing. Ensuring that everybody has access to quality, affordable health care it's just the top priority that this campaign has right now. And that's because prescription drug prices are skyrocketing. It is super hard for people to be able to afford the care. Even when they already have coverage, it's hard for people to be able to afford their care. Another thing that is very concerning to me is that, before the votes were just happening to get rid of protections for people with pre-existing conditions, and now we're hearing leadership like Mitch McConnell literally say that they want to gut protections for pre-existing conditions. So we have got to fight that off and make sure that people with pre-existing conditions are able to access care, and that they're not priced out, because we also have seen a lot of bills come out or proposals from that Kevin Yoder has supported that would, sure, somebody can still get coverage, but if the coverage is so expensive that nobody would be able to afford it, that's not really access to health care. So healthcare is the number one, and then education is also another issue that many people are concerned about and always bring up. So for my role, I would love to be able to ensure that the early childhood education programs are robust, are fully funded, and then another thing that I know a lot of people are concerned about is the student loan debt crisis. That's really hindering our next generation of leaders from being able to fully participate and do the things that they need to thrive in this economy and to really build up our society. And so that's something that I'm really concerned about. And then in that third slot is kind of what Laura was saying. There's so many issues, but one of the key things that I've been talking to a lot of other candidates across the country about, and that a couple of members of Congress and I have had conversations about, have to do with dark money in politics, and trying to figure out ways to make sure that stops being such a huge barrier and hindrance to real policy change. Because right now what we've got is a lot of people who are getting elected who are essentially, their seats are bought and paid for by massive corporations and the most wealthy people in this country who can, without any transparency, put a ton of money into super PACs. And that's a huge issue that we need to address, because I think it will help to break down a bunch of the partisanship that's happening in DC right now.